Since I've never done one of these in video format and usually stick to other social medias for my New Music Friday content, a brief explainer for my approach is in order. I'm not someone who sees much point in giving negative music criticism unless, and this is a big unless, that artist is successful. Yes, I take the bourgeoisie, proletariat approach to bad music reviews. This is why I have no problem lambasting Harry Styles and the like for being symptoms of a greater rot, which is why you'll see a negative review of him on my channel, but music criticism is just not what it used to be. The goal of music criticism isn't to persuade some son of a blue-collar factory worker which $50 vinyl to buy with his salary for the month, since an infinitely growing pile of content is readily available at all times. The goal that modern music journalism should take is discovery. It's not why you should spend your money on something instead of something else. It's amid algorithms and digital pathfinders that will pigeonhole you, here's why something else is worth your time. Here's why it is worth it to break out of your comfort zone. If it's underground and it's bad, then it's kind of redundant to level negative criticism against it. There is no point in showing you an album that you never would have heard of anyway and telling you why you shouldn't listen to it. Those artists that are on major labels and profit greatly from mediocrity, that's another story. And all of this is to kind of say that if I feature content on this channel, that means I recommend it in some degree, and if I don't, then there is a reason for it. Anyway, here are some albums this week that should be on your radar. Easily my favorite record to come out this week is the debut record from electronic, industrial, no-wave trio, Mandy, Indiana. Every time I think I find something new and I get somewhere first, there is a Pitchfork Best Music spitting in my face. Much like their name, which isn't even a real place, their music feels intensely liminal and dreamlike, but not in the stereotypically pillowy, soft way. When something is truly dreamlike, it feels surreal, and usually comes from combining sounds that juxtapose harshly. On this album, that happens to be throbbing synth bass, dark house grooves, and just delightfully dejected vocals. I mean, say what you want, but I do like being yelled at in French over a beat that sounds like it's circling its next victim, and I am the victim. If you got a lot out of this year's Model Actress album, which I certainly did, then this is going to be right in your territory. The song Drag Crashed actually sounds kind of like a dead ringer for their song Crossing Guard. However, the similarities kind of begin and end at those dance punk aesthetics. This record is built upon textured soundscapes and maybe the oddest conception of sensuality that I've heard on a record this year. It kind of sounds like being seduced by the teeth from the movie Teeth. Moving along, what I actually think is the most interesting thing about this record is its progression. Most of the tracks on this record have their own idea, their own MO, and really depend on each other to make sense. And they do make sense, and this is actually just because the record is an exercise in pure mood. How many different instrumental avenues can we take to make a groove, attack the senses, hack the mainframe? From a technical perspective, this record is actually pretty marvelous. For as bloody and as murky as this record can get, it is also equally as heavenly in the way that a band like Swans can feel. You're just constantly battered with solar wind and auditory darkness until it's a light breeze and a nice summer day. But that implies there's a getting used to this album, and there are some subversive edges that will never, ever be sanded down by time. I know it's only been a day, but this is the closest modern music has come to cosmic horror in a while, and you can dance to it, so. You can also dance to this, but for about half of it, that's all I wanted from it. Listen, I like Amine. I think he has interstellar potential when it comes to his vein of very smooth, forward-thinking pop rap, but his persona on this record, combined with the summery grooves, feels like the nice guy at the party is trying to whisper in my ear, or at the very least he's complaining about how none of the girls are talking to him. And might I add, self-proclaimed nice guy. Yeah, he definitely talks a lot about how great he is on this record. I mean, solely based off of that one cringy line from the lead single, Forever, I think anyone who claims to know what a woman is thinking in a song needs to go to the blurred lines school of trying not to sound like you went to the Bill Cosby school of picking up women. And I guess that's my biggest knock on this record, and that's Amine really talks. He talks too much. He talks too much. And when you as an artist are putting yourself in that position where your flows are relentless and trying to sound very smooth, you're also putting yourself in a position where any of the above lines that you just said could have flubbed. And unfortunately that is the case here, but it's not enough to actually sap all of the enjoyment out of this project. Kaytramine brings his usually solid and smooth and polished grooves to the benefit of Amine, and it's really to the benefit of the whole project that it's releasing when it does. This is actually one of those very few self-proclaimed, self-marketed albums of the summer that actually kind of deserves the moniker a little bit, not to the degree of Bad Bunny's album from last year, but still. This is probably going to be the type of record to soundtrack many a house party, and more than likely it will be the highlight of whatever AI Spotify playlist put it on in the first place. I mean, it's not exactly innovative, and it actually kind of runs dangerously close to overstaying its only 33-minute welcome, but it's fun. Like, it's fun. It's really dumb, but I mean, it's fun. And I also kind of need to beat the nerd allegations at some point. If I ever get too strung out in my depressed malaise and pretend that I can never be surprised anymore, then I have moments like this to chew on. I mean, leave it to British comedian James Acaster wearing a party alligator mascot costume and tap dancing to create one of the most strange and beautiful and unique and emotionally compelling rap albums from this year. Not even rap, bordering on plunderphonics. I mean, to better understand this record, it actually very much sounds like its process where James over the last couple years made beats and sent them to his favorite underground artists like Quelly Chris, Open Mike Eagle, and Shamir, just to name a few, and stitched together the bits that they sent him back. I mean, over the hour that this record lasts, its oddity is examined thoroughly like it is in a glass display case where every lit up Willy Wonka corner of madness is visible. But what is really surprising about this album is that this madness works and is in service to emotional catharsis. Hearing an outsider's perspective on music and seeing the almost Orson Wellesian way in which no rules are followed because no rules are known is rarely worth it. But this album, this collective of highly respected independent artists led by Acaster, is actually a delight. I mean, it should be said now that his inexperience with released music does show most of the tracks range from about 5 to 7 minutes and simply should not. And this is due to the fact that some of the beats can run a little repetitious and the mixing and mastering on the whole is a little muddy. But I don't think it's my job here to point out that a rookie sounds like a rookie, especially since the core of what makes this album so interesting and surprising is bursting with potential for the future. Because Acaster has an incredibly inventive way of approaching song structure and beat making. Every song has multiple disparate phases, and many of his beats are in uncommon times with unintuitive grooves. And believe me when I tell you that his ability to stitch multiple different artists with different hooks, with different verses, into a single cohesive song is literally to the level of prime Gorillaz. Again, if you can ignore some of the quirks of the mixing and really take the songs for the ideas they present, you're going to get a lot out of this record. There are points of genuine beauty and creation here, and ruminating in his view of music is definitely worth a few unpolished elements here and there. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out all of these records that I mentioned here today and all of the other records I've covered on my channel. You can do so by clicking down below or following me on other social medias where I post more often. This is the end for now, until it's not.